Hello and welcome to this week's review of My Hero Academia, and this week I'm reviewing the Vigilantes episode Crabtastic Rampage! Woohoo! And we start off as we often do with these reviews by talking about the positives! I don't know why I put a silly voice on, but hey, let's just get right into it, because now it's time for an epic crab battle! I'll be honest with you, I'm just so happy with this one because it was just a ton of fun. After a handful of episodes which just felt rather listless and directionless, this episode just felt like such a breath of fresh air and really lifted my spirits after all this YouTube deleting my views nonsense that's been going on over the past few weeks. This is everything that I could have hoped this episode could have been and a little bit more. It had great pacing, great humour, great action, great shot composition, and our main characters are actually doing something. Well, one of them's a little bit preoccupied at the moment, but hey, I can't hold that against them. You know, I'm not joking here when I said that I really do like this one. This isn't setting up for some kind of early video sketch. This is just really great and amazing. I've enjoyed every single page of this particular episode. It was a ton of fun. Yes, this entire episode is just one long action sequence for the most part, with a few gags and jokes thrown in here and there, but I think it was just done rather fantastically well. The shot composition and panel work helped to convey so much. It gives us a great sense of just how fast-paced the action sequences there are, with some really short, small panel work to just show how quickly things are going along, and some larger panels to just show the visual dynamism of what's going on, as well as give us some more characterful and personality-filled moments. Yes, this is the kind of stuff that I praise this series for frequently, but hey-ho, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And to be quite honest with you, given everything else we've had up until this point, everything about it just feels great. Yes, we haven't been jonesing for action for all that long, bearing in mind it's pretty much kicked off in the previous episode, but even then it wasn't stellar stuff, and whilst this stuff isn't stellar either, it does still go just above and beyond and really just gives us something a lot more spectacular to read and look at. This is just really fun. The action sequence we get is really cool and gets us to see the pro heroes doing their thing and using their power to save the day. And of course we get the moment where Snippy Crab Cop Lady realises that Popstep is in the remaining crab suit, and then we get that hard cut to Popstep being spirited away with an "oh fuck" look on her face, which I just love. The expression on her face as she's being kidnapped by this crab mech suit thing is just hilarious. I wish I could really share it, but you know, given past history of trying to share some of these kind of things in my videos, yeah, that's not a path I really want to be crossing anytime soon, because I really can't be doing the stress of all that. But going back to the review itself, this episode we see Crawler going above and beyond. We're not dealing with your average Crawler anymore. He's becoming the legendary Super Crawler. Yeah, so the superheroes have super forms and superpowers, but Crawler, he has expensive merchandise. Yeah, so he's able to gain the power that he needs to help try and save Popstep by buying a new hoodie. Okay, sure, I mean, it's a fun joke for what it is. I mean, yeah, other superheroes, they go Super Saiyan, they go a little beyond, they go plus ultra. He just nips to the local, the nearby stall and just quickly buys one of them. I like it. It's a fun little gag. It shows that the true power beyond anything else is merchandising, because that's where the real money is made. Oh, and we do get the payoff that the new power that you locked towards the start of this story arc is coming in useful now in a way which was more or less as I expected it to. He grabs onto the crab mech suit thing and then he's just there now because he has no means of getting Popstep out. Of course, we'll see where all that goes in the next particular episode. On a more serious note, we do get a little bit more of a reveal into our recurring villain, aka the Delivery Man, as I call him, aka Vince Vaughn, if you want to make a very laboured and obscure joke. But hey, I'm calling him the Delivery Man because he looked like a delivery person, and that's all we really have to go on as far as the name is concerned. In this episode, we discover what their quirk is, and I'll be quite honest with you, it's not what I expected it to be. Given in the previous episode he mentioned about dismantling something, I predicted it would have something to do with that, like I think it's Excalibur in the Marvel comics has the power where they can just dismantle and deconstruct things remotely. So I thought, oh, it'd be something similar to that, or it might have been a hacking quirk, something helped allows him to hack into systems, giving what he did to the crab suit, mech suit things. But no, his quirk is speed. So you can tell where this one's going. Oh no! I have a sinking suspicion that this guy is going to end up being the main rival to Crawler, given that his quirk is kind of similar. It kind of fits into that speed thing as well. So he is going to end up being this dark mirror to our hero, which I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure if I can really ride with that at the moment. I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this. There is the chance that he might just be here for the immediate term, you know, a villain that's only going to be here for this volume and maybe the next one before being replaced with someone else. Though I have this feeling that this might be a more long-term thing because, look, I'm going to be honest, it's hard to really judge where all this is going because outside of learning what their quirk is, we don't know much about them. The writers of this have gone out of their way to make them as mysterious and enigmatic as possible. They are really just this blank slate that they can go in any direction with. And I'm going to be honest with you, I don't think that a mirror to our main character is what this series needs as a villain. And quite frankly, that's something that we've already had many, many, many times in the main series. I mean, it's such a frequent thing in My Hero Academia, the main series itself, that I wrote a video on it on a similar note a few months back, and I'll be quite honest with you, given how similar plot threads have turned out in the main series, I'm nervous as to say, not even just in the main series, even just within this particular series, I'm nervous as to whether or not they'll be able to stick the landing with this. And I have this nasty feeling that, what, we've got another maybe 50 volumes or so left of this, another 40 or so volumes of this, and this is going to become our recurring villain. So unless they have some kind of truly out there, stellar, brilliant backstory, I'm really not sure where we're going to go with all this to really make it compelling, because just having a slightly bad version, or rather a slightly evil version of a main character, doesn't really interest me. And I feel that this is going to turn into a Sonic versus Shadow the Hedgehog kind of thing, given functionally how similar we are working here. Two fast-moving characters, and one has a legitimate super speed and the other one just kind of floats about, but we'll see where all that goes. And just to quickly start to wrap up the positives, in this episode we do learn that police officers can't use their quirks on duty because the snippy crab woman gets told off or reprimanded or warned by Fat Gob that, hey, you can't use your quirk when you're on the job. So, you know, that's an interesting little tidbit of lore, I suppose. And another positive, I suppose this is more of a question, really. Why is it that these crab-shaped mech suits are designed to promote a snack food brand? Why do they have a self-destruct mechanism? I mean, are these army surplus or something that was meant for the battlefield but got heavily modified so that it would be, you know, just for promotional thing? Because I really don't understand why else would they have a self-destruct mechanism? To put the fear of God into the workforce to stop them unionizing? I don't get it. Or maybe it's because, you know, the robots of this world have been proven to have a bit of a sassy attitude, so maybe it's meant as a last resort thing, so we have one of them go, haha, not this time, you little shit, and then boom, they're gone, and they're not a problem anymore. But that's such an infrequent gag, you can't really consider it solid lore, so if they aren't from the army, why have a self-destruct mechanism at all? Because, I don't know, is this crab-based snack company industry really that hostile? Well, I'm not really surprised, as they seem like they might get a little crabby. Well, I get why it's there. It's a ticking clock element. It's to add more peril into all of this. But still, it is ludicrous that something that's designed to promote a snack food would have a self-destruct mechanism in it. It'd be like if at Disney World all the suits of Mickey Mouse had a bomb in them. Like, I don't get it. I mean, yes, I get it, but I don't get it. I mean, it's not quite totally breaking the suspension of willing suspension of disbelief, rather, but it is, I suppose, given just how absurd this story arc has been, it really isn't really pushing things too far now, is it? Even if it is just a little bit silly. But still, with all that said, let us get into the negatives, and it has just dawned upon me that I might have accidentally saved over my script for this particular episode, because all the negatives I have written out in front of me are for the previous episode, so whoopsie daisy, we're gonna have to improvise here, and I'll just have to say that from what I've read from the previous episode, just having a quick skim through read of it, and from what I'm looking up on my previous notes for the actual stuff that I actually have got written for this particular script, I think the big issue that I have with this is the fact that whilst Popstep and Crawl are doing more in this episode, I do wish it was even more still. They don't really come into this event until the dying embers of this particular episode, and their great contribution to everything is just for Popstep to pull a funny face as she's being kidnapped by a crab robot, and for Crawler to jump onto said crab robot after having bought a new sweatshirt off screen. And whilst all that stuff is fun and interesting and exciting and is certainly far more than they've done most recently, it's still stuff that I just wish was a little bit more than that. I wish that they were a little bit more involved with everything that had been going on here. But for what it is worth, I think it does it decently well enough for what it is. There aren't really that many other negatives for this particular episode, apart from, well, maybe getting a confirmation that the villain in this episode does have a super speed quirk. That certainly does feel like it is the case, and you know, having read the next episode, it does go out of its way to confirm it then, but we'll discuss that when we get into that particular episode. But with that said, as we move now into the overview, this is a very solid, very fun episode that I have no great complaints over. I will admit the whole negative section was me just trying to pull something out of thin air, because there's nothing about this episode that really does stick out for me as far as being bad is concerned, because it quite frankly isn't. This episode is an absolute joy to read from start to finish. Yes, I do wish that our main characters were doing a little bit more, but what we do get from them is fun for what it is, and our extended cast does do a hell of a lot of good fun stuff. Erase ahead, it just dawned on me, despite the fact that he's been a major recurring character in this story arc up until this moment, isn't here. Like, I'd expected that he would be part of this big raid with all this being said and done, but he isn't. I guess he's off still having coffee with the two rip-off Carmen Wright-looking dudes. Wow, that's just... holy crap, that's just dawned on me. Wow. Wow, that just... whoa. No, sorry everyone, that's kind of just... that's really just thrown me for a loop. That's going to be something I'm going to have to mention in the volume review, isn't it? Good lord! Wow. No, sorry, I'm just going to start spending the next 5 minutes doing Owen Wilshire's impressions if this keeps on, but still... a great, fantastic episode. It's been a much-needed tonic, given a lot of the stress and the anxiety and all the stuff that's been going on for me recently. With all that said and done, well, let's get into Comment Corner! It's time for Comment Corner just before lunch. I've really been behind my schedule quite a lot this week for reasons which I'll go into in a different video. Anyway, time for Comment Corner, and we have a comment from Big X1 once again, who says, I really like the action in this episode. This, of course, referring to the previous episode, and it gets better after this. And I want to say thank you for your comment, and well, it did. It really did get better, and gets a little bit better in the next episode, because as I mentioned previously, I did decide to read ahead to the end of this volume because of just all the crap that was going on with the deleting of the views by YouTube shtick, which I don't want to jinx things, but I think I might have cured, or at least I found a solution to it, or rather where the problem has been coming from. So fingers crossed we can get to the end of this volume, by the end of the volume review, and just before we get into our special videos before My Hero Academia's next season comes back, without any views being deleted. Hopefully that can happen. And I've also noticed that we've reached 105 subscribers, which means that in the next couple of weeks or so, I will be doing the review of the second My Hero Academia movie, as that's the only one up until this point I've neither watched nor reviewed. So that'll be something to look forward to, because in August we get the fourth movie coming out. So great times, good times. With all that said, I want to say thank you all for listening, thank you all for watching, and see you next time. Goodbye! Thanks for watching. Be sure to like, favourite, subscribe, click the bell, and do all the YouTubey stuff that YouTube wants you to do. Go on, it'll do me a power of good. Until next time, my friends, goodbye!